one Halloween decoration in my background.
Oh, yeah. And I'm suddenly realizing that I forgot which memes we've already talked about regarding Words of Radiance. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do for a cold open that's not just going to be, Nick, you talked about this last time. Because
Would you like to share our SSID?
No.
I didn't say share the password, just the...
Well, I feel like
I thought it was pretty clever. I thought it was great.
That's right. Our home Wi-Fi network name is Oathgate. That's
Yes.
right. And you know what? That is pretty appropriate. I'm a little sad I didn't come up with it because it is clever. We connect to it and it just takes us all over the fucking
I
world.
know. I asked...
Into the cognitive realm even.
I asked AI to come up with
You don't need to admit
a
that.
cool...
You could have just been
No.
clever.
Listen, you gotta listen to the whole story. I asked AI, like, I want to do, like, a Cosmere-related Wi-Fi. Like, what should I name it? It did not come up with Oathgate. I did not like any of the things that it came up with.
What sort of things did it come up with?
I don't even remember. They weren't even worth remembering.
That's that three
It
songs.
might have done Silverlight or something, but...
Well, all right, Silverlight isn't terrible, but it is uninspired.
It is uninspired. I mean, not that Oathgate is that inspired,
But it's clever.
but
enough.
it
It's
is
satisfying.
applicable.
And
Applicable?
yeah, and like-
Applicable? How do you say that word?
Both are both. I've done both. Sometimes I just put the different emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Oh, great. Okay.
Hello and welcome to Cosmere Casual, your casual reader's guide to Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. I'm your co-host, the insufferable Nick Gorman.
And I'm your co-host AJ. I have a little bit of a headache, so I'm gonna see if caffeine helps.
And
Not that audio listeners hopefully will be able to tell.
like I said last time, it's maybe been a few months since I read this book. We've had a lot of stuff in the personal life. I didn't make notes or fucking anything.
Yeah.
So we're the headachy leading the ignorant.
Yeah.
Not ignorant. I've read this book 20
It's gonna be
times.
great. Sometimes
It's
I
gonna be
wish I
great.
had some Stormlight to help
Oh, yeah.
make these
Yeah,
minor nuisances go away quickly. Yes.
So today's episode, we're discussing Cosmere connections in Words of Radiance. This is kind of
This is gonna be spoiler.
spoilers for all
Stormlight.
Stormlight, all Cosmere.
Yeah, we're probably not gonna get a whole lot into things that are not that are outside of Stormlight. They're gonna get it a little bit, but a lot of, anyways.
How can they be Cosmere connections if they're not outside it?
Well, we're gonna focus on Shallan today, and anybody
This
who's
is her
like
book.
closely related to Shallan, like
Does that mean the Ghost Bloods?
yes.
Okay, so that is definitely like, okay, Mistborn Era 3
Okay.
is gonna be the Ghost Blood series, so that's already kind of telling you right there what's up. Something's up with the Ghost Bloods.
A lot of things. A lot of things are up with it.
That's metatextual. I love that word.
It is nice.
it makes
It's
me
nice
feel
on the
fancy.
ears. Metatextual.
Indubitably. That's another fun one.
No, I don't like that one as much.
Indubitably.
Okay, let's get into... I want to talk about Shallan and her diverging personalities.
Personas.
So, rereading this text, there was a quote.
Oh, we're like scholars and shit.
There was a quote that really struck me of Shallan kind of reminiscing on some of the plant life. So let me read this to you. That's why the plant limbs are so fragile. When the storm comes, it will shatter these branches and break off the leaves. They will blow away and start new shoots, building their own shell. They grow so quickly, faster than I'd have expected out here in these infertile lands. That just struck me as just hitting you over the head as a metaphor for Shallan's diverging personalities. No, I'm alone.
Yeah, I don't know if you're alone or if it's just...
I'm not explaining it well, am I?
I don't know if there's been any explanation yet.
Okay.
Hold on. Say it again?
So these plants are so the plants on the Shattered Plane are different. Okay, they don't just like grow roots and stay like they do in our world.
More like fungus or whatever, where they spore and germinate and go.
Right.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of similar to Shallan's personality. She breaks off pieces of her personality and lets them grow and develop on their own, so that they become independent personalities.
She's her own child.
Yes. Okay. So when the storm comes, so whenever she's faced with stress or a terrible life experience,
trauma,
that's when the different personalities tend to break off and develop.
Okay, I see it.
And they grow so quickly, and
yeah,
we'll see
they grow up so fast.
We'll see in the next couple books that her personalities really start to multiply very quickly.
See, you did explain it. That was good.
Yes.
Now I get it. I get what you were going for. I still don't think it was super obvious, but yeah, no, I get it now.
I mean, it's just another way to say that Shallan developing these other personalities is a coping mechanism, similar to how the plants
they survive.
They survive by doing that.
By splitting up. Yeah.
Yes. So, but I don't know. To me, that was just hitting me over the head with like, this is Shallan. This is Shallan's path. This is how she copes. She just breaks off pieces of herself. And yeah, we see her in this book asking herself a lot, who would she be for this woman? Who did she need to be?
Yes, I did notice that a lot, but I thought that was more about her transforming herself. That's one of her surges, is transformation.
Yeah, you're going to have to... We're going to go into that, because she transforms object, yes, and that is generally understood by most people reading.
Yes.
What is more difficult to understand is that she transforms souls, both her own soul and the souls of others.
I don't...
Which is a little bit less
I don't read it as a literal, she transforms souls. I read it more like a figurative. Like, she doesn't, it's not like she's taking in stormlight and pushing it on, like, not in the same way that Yasna in the last book transformed the people that, the muggers, right? She turned them into fire and flame and shit. Or in crystals,
but I
right?
do think there is something like that. I don't think it's just she's drawing pretty pictures of people. I think there's more underlying. There's something magically happening. Maybe not. I think to the scale that transformation of objects is happening, but I do think there is something actually being done.
I think cause and effect is switched, where I think that's part of why she's a light weaver and not some other order of radiant, is because she has the ability to influence and change people in subtle ways.
Yeah.
Right? And it's still interesting to me that she struggles so much with soul casting. And that's like a point that comes up again and again in series, is that she doesn't soul cast. I suspect that's trauma related. Yeah. But she's very, like, she still does transform things. She just does it more subtly and less obvious, and more through conventional means rather than overtly magical ones. I
don't know. I think there are more things going on that neither we nor Shallan understand.
This is also true. You are very right. I'm noticing that my copy of the book that I did actually write notes in the margin of is right over there, so I'm going to go grab that.
Okay. I do want to mention that in the flashbacks, she's already kind of losing track of time.
Yes.
So I think the split of the personalities started way back when she was still in her father's house. Potentially even when her mother was alive, because she's losing her memory.
And
I think normally what we've seen is that her losing her memory and another personality taking over, it's kind of intertwined.
So I read it differently than that, and that's not to say that yours is invalid. It's just I didn't think of that. I didn't go that same direction with it. To me, I thought it was more showing how she is dealing with trauma and PTSD, right? Because that is a sign, dissociating is a sign of severe anxiety, right? And so
I just think it's important to point out that we didn't see her kind of this split personality happening in Way of Kings. But just because we didn't see it until Words of Radiance doesn't mean it wasn't happening in her childhood, because I think in these flashbacks suggest that it was happening in her childhood.
Yes. Yeah.
It's something that has resurfaced rather than something that's new.
Ah, yes. I see where you're going with that.
The other way of putting that is better for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and I was about to say, it's like, well, I wonder how much of that is just because she's getting out of her parents' household and all the abuse she suffered there. But then that's a good point, where she's done this before.
She has done a lot of things before.
She doesn't remember it.
And it's not explicitly said that, hey, I'm doing this because I remember how. It's just like, oh, look at this thing I figured out. You didn't figure it out.
Well, she figured
muscle memory.
She did figure it out when she was a child.
When she was a child, yeah.
Well, I do think it's interesting, though. Wait, no,
this is
that's not in this book, because in Oathbringer, pattern is all about remember Shallan, or is that Rhythm of War even?
It's like every book.
Remember, and it's like, okay, yeah.
So
that's what he wants you to remember.
This is another case of an unreliable narrator. Shallan is an extremely unreliable narrator.
There was a meme I saw on Reddit the other day about this.
And it annoys the shit out of me because as listeners, longtime listeners will remember, I cannot deal with unreliable narrators. I just take everything at face value. So I have a very difficult time with unreliable narrators, which means I have a difficult time with Shallan.
I mean, yes, same, but I enjoy it. I want to be
it's
fooled.
Stressful for me, where it's just like, what do you mean you didn't tell me what you mean?
Well, and it's because...
Give me Adolin any day.
Yes, also yes.
Kaladin, Dalinar, whatever.
Yeah. But you're on the same page with Shallan, though, because she's always... there's a meme I saw on Reddit the other day where... All right, the meme was that they were... Anytime they get to a Shallan chapter in Words of Radiance, they flip it open, and then they're going from a Kaladin chapter to Shallan chapter heading, and then it's Lady Gaga's Poker Face starts playing. And I'm like, oh, it's because she's got a good poker face. And she's always lying to people around her.
A lot of times we know that, though. We know that she's lying.
To herself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's constantly... avoiding her gate, avoiding looking at memories that are too painful.
Yeah, which that is pretty clear, but not, yeah.
But the extent is not.
No, the extent is not clear.
Because it happens on layers.
All right, so let's talk about Shallan's mom. So this is a spoiler. Shallan's mother is
Good luck.
Shanarok.
The Herald Shanarok.
Or
Chana. Chana. You'd think I would know this. We listen to this over the audiobooks.
Well, they're not consistent either.
They get a lot more consistent towards the end of the series. Thank you.
You'd think that they living in the same household, they would be consistent.
Listen, we're married. You know what it's like.
Okay. Still. So, yeah, one of the heralds. So all of the heralds, all but one, have been living in Roshar ever since they abandoned their weapons. And come to find out, Channa decided to marry... What's his name? Lindavar. And have children. One other thing to point out is that Lindavar had a child before marrying Channa. So the eldest, Hellerand, is not...
Hellerand's not?
Is not Channa's. Nope.
Wait, where did that come from? How do we know that? What?
Careful reading of the book and then verifying it on Coppermind. Yes, so This is me. This is me telling everybody so that because our casual readers, so that they are in on it without having to do the research.
I didn't realize I was a casual. I thought I was hosting a Damn.
I know.
You
Well,
got me,
we pick up different things.
This is very
We
true.
talked about
This
this
is
months
very
ago.
true.
We talked about this months ago.
Months ago was
You just
months
forgot.
ago.
You
Yeah,
just forgot.
definitely. You know, is that a sign of anxiety? I think I just talked about this. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So yeah. So Hellerand is not. Channa is not Hellerand's mother. So as you're reading these flashbacks and rereading everything, if it feels like Hellerand is being treated differently from the other children, there's a reason for that because, yes, family dynamics.
And especially like a lot of the family dynamic with Channa is made so much more clear in Wind and Truth. When you get the reveal that Chanarok is Shallan's mom, when you understand why she even wanted kids in the first place, right? She wanted someone to take her place as a herald, right?
So do you think that do you think that means that she purposely tortured her children or stressed her children so that they would develop bonds similar to the secret society that was trying to bring
the visitors?
Yeah.
Or invisitors, whatever.
Yeah.
Not enough evidence, but I think so, yeah. And I think in particular Shallan, right? I think she wanted a girl child, and that's why Shallan's the youngest, right? Because after that, there was no point to have more. She had a girl.
I don't know why it would need to be a girl for her to take over,
but also, there's no, if you think Shallan's an unreliable narrator, so's, by that point, Ishar had...
All of the heralds are pretty unreliable.
Well,
in every respect.
Yeah, well, I was about to say is especially when you find out in Winds of Truth that Ishar had found Odium's perpendicularity and was using his connection with the other heralds to try to take away some of their pain, but that ultimately ended up corrupting all of the heralds also.
You got way more out of that than I did.
Yeah. So that's part of why all of the heralds are why they have moments of lucidity is they're not always under that influence of Ishar and
his corruption.
And by virtue of that odium, right?
Yeah. So to bring it back, the reason why I wanted to ask you that question about if Channa purposely is because we do know that something kind of caused Shallan stress to the point where she was able to form or experience enough trauma that she did attract a spren in Bond 1. And that would be Testament.
And
that was before she murdered her mother.
And there's more. We know from, I think it's Rhythm of War, that as more spren cross over and there are more bonds, it becomes easier for the spren to cross over and for bonds to form. So having, crossed over into the physical realm and bonded Shallan
was even
a decade before Syl and Kaladin.
Was it even more of a difficult feat?
Yes. Something was going on with Shallan. It's not that she was less traumatized. If anything, it would be more.
Right.
Not that trauma is the only thing that needs... It's not the only
something
prerequisite.
That breaks your soul.
Yeah.
That's something that rips the soul.
Well, there needed to be enough of a gap in her spirit web as the Cosmere term for it.
You can really do that nasally voice on command, huh?
Hey, you married me. Yeah. So, and maybe it's because she was a child, but children are pretty resilient. I don't know. Like I said, we don't have enough text, we don't have enough to say for sure, but I read it as, and especially like Lynn's, her dad's extra protectiveness over Shallan. There's a way of reading that he's scared of her and her shard blade. There's another way of reading that is that he's guilty for allowing it to go on as he did.
I hadn't thought of that side. There's still so much. I wonder if Brandon is just going to do another book focused on Shallan in the next arc.
I don't know.
I feel there's like another book's worth of stuff there for sure to focus on Shallan.
Yeah. But there's also a lot of other characters. Like, what about the freaking heralds, right?
They wouldn't really be.
Tom.
They wouldn't really be. They're not. They're not all there. So writing from their perspective would be kind of difficult.
For the next arc?
Yeah.
I think we'll see. We'll see.
Okay,
In the next, like, 10 years.
All right. Yes. Before we move on, though, one thing that kind of is irksome that I want to say out loud, just so that it is said out loud. So Shallan is Chanarak's daughter, but she's named after the herald Shalash, Herald of Beauty.
Yeah. What's your point?
That's annoying.
What? I mean, would you prefer to have, like, you know, you wouldn't, you know...
I don't know, you would name her after yourself, or, like, I don't know.
You could
like,
call her Junior? Come on!
But, like, was Shanarak's, like, was that the kind of relationship that Shanarak had with Shalash?
Well, maybe Lynn named her.
I don't know. It seems cruel to Shanarak, or Chana, to be constantly reminded of another herald. I don't know. It's just weird.
It is a little weird. It's certainly noteworthy.
So Shallan's mom was a Dustbringer.
She had her bird binding abilities were the same as the Dustbringers.
Yes, she was known for being fast.
The releasers.
I think Shanarak was the one in the store. No, it wasn't the one in the store. Never mind. So Shallan's mother was killed the same night as Gavilar, but mostly by coincidence.
Coincidence? Misfortune? One of those.
We do see in a flashback in
Truth.
Wind Truth that
The prologue, yeah.
that Nail contacted Chana by Sion, and there was a discussion there, and gave her an ultimatum, which then caused Chana to then try to kill Shallan. So Nail was conducting that Sion call from.
So really, what you're saying is the world ended, and Nail was to blame.
No, Shallan was to blame.
Well, I know that's the line. Also, how about that line is foreshadowing? Damn, right?
Yes, you read it and you're like, well, I mean, kind of. So let's explain that a little bit further, because we haven't mentioned it.
On layers.
So, up until the point that Shallan... So, before the night that Shanarak was killed, there's one herald in Damnation. Braze. Tom. And he has been there for...
Millennia.
He is the one holding back the forces of hell, whatever.
He's Atlas.
He's keeping all the bad forces at bay. It's been so long that humanity has kind of forgotten that, you know, heralds are actually a real thing, and that desolations were anyways. So Tom was Atlas by himself. Okay? Then Shallan kills her mother. Shallan kills another herald, which has not happened in eons. Shallan sends her mom back to Braze, back to hell. And then just a few years later, we have another desolation, because anytime one of the heralds kind of gives up being tortured or says, you know, I've had enough or whatever.
They try to escape back.
They try to escape back to Earth. Roshar. Yes, thank you. Roshar. That lets that begins another desolation.
Yep.
So Shallan did kind of cause it, because if she hadn't killed her mother, then it's very unlikely that another desolation would have happened.
Okay, you're assigning blame at a very specific level, right? Because if you're going down to the immediate causes, then Odium's the one to blame.
Yeah, Odium's the one to blame.
One layer level is one layer level deeper. Like, well, Channel enabled that by breaking. Okay, but then one layer deeper. Okay, so you know why did
and if Shallan didn't kill
her? Okay, but why did Shallan kill her? Because she, in self-defense, because Channel was trying to kill her, and Nail prompted her to it. So, like, blaming it on Shallan is a very specific layer of why to stop.
But you have to say that out loud to get the power of that first sentence of
that one flashback. Well, and especially because, like, that one, I think, in this book, it's the night that she kills her dad, right? And so it's like, it's not the literal end of Roshar, like it is in Wind and Truth, but it is, but it's the end of her family, their world, right? That's their whole dynamic. So, like, yeah. And I love it as a line because it's so good for foreshadowing. And it also, like, it's a reflection of how she internalizes the blame for everything. She's got no less of a martyr complex than Kaladin does. It's just different.
Yes. All right. Moving over to Lindavar, her father. So he remarries and gets married to Malaise, or Melise.
Yeah, I think it's Melise.
So it's very obvious to me that in the dialogue that Melise knew that Shallan killed her mother. I can think that like I can see why that would like needed to happen, because otherwise why would she agree to marry a potential murderer? I mean, if you had that explanation, you would be probably more willing to enter into that marriage.
I mean, how many wives did Henry VIII kill? There's an element of, if you're trying to be upwardly mobile in a feudal hierarchical society.
I'm just trying to think on the human level here.
Yeah, no, I'm
trying to see it from Melise's perspective.
Yeah, I guess I didn't read it as she knew. I read it as she wanted to believe. And I thought it was more that she was blaming it on Shallan because Shallan's the only one who never gets hurt by Lynn, right?
Yeah.
And I think the ambiguity is intentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think she knows, or she knew because she's dead now. Yeah, there's some quotes here about there was a time when he, meaning Lindavar, when she's rarely, if ever, seen him angry. So I'm just like, we never get to see Lindavar in the flashbacks before Shauna's death. I'm dying to know what that was like, what he was like, because I think it's different. But I don't know, because he also got in with the Ghost Bloods, and like he could have been, like he had to have been aware of the ghost. I guess he didn't have to be, but he could have been aware of the Ghost Bloods before. And I don't know. I want to know more.
I would say there's a lot of unanswered questions still about Lindavar, right? Where there's, okay, did he know about the Skybreakers? When did he start these?
Well, he knew about them. He knew about that when Halloran joined them. I don't know how much longer before him.
Well, right, but did you know about Channa in the Skybreakers, right? Because that was a Skybreaker who
had come to push Channa to kill. Yeah.
Yeah. And and so what's the timeline on that? And then also it's like, why?
Does he know who his wife was?
Yeah, does he know that his wife was a herald? And like, how insane was she, right? Because Nail seems to pass as a constable, if an extremely sadistic one, right?
Right.
But you would never say that about.
And then you have another herald who's a drunk.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's not a functioning member of society, right? And even Restari's, like people have a hard time interacting with him, even when they believe that he's a herald, right? Mm-hmm. Like he ends up as the head of the Sons of Honor or whatever. Like
that's probably just because he never died.
Right. But, like what would it be like being married to a herald?
I don't know, but good. And also, who is Lynn?
Yeah.
Because to our knowledge, Shanna never married anybody else. Because if she did that, then that just breaks my brain in terms of, okay, so are you potentially marrying a great grandchild? What's the lineage like there?
Are all Vadens, related to Channa?
Breaks my brain. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. Okay,
I have another quote here. So Shallan's reminiscing. It's growing worse and worse. Someone needs to do something. Something to change father. It's very interesting wording, because Shallan can do that. She can soulcast and change her father. It's just like, you just want to scream at the book when that happens, because they're just like, you're taunting us.
Yeah.
Brandon, you're just taunting us.
Yeah, but I like it. I like it. It's good
Because
foreshadowing.
on some level, she knows that, right?
It's yes.
She's aware of her powers. She may like at some level she's aware of her powers. She knows that she could.
But she's also like at the that seems like the sort of thing that's like just at the periphery of what she can stand to think about, right? It's like if she thinks about it any more directly, she's going to shut down.
Okay, one thing I'm confused about, and tried understanding it, and my brain's not doing it. What was going on with Revelar blackmailing Lindevar?
Okay, so that was where I don't think it was. I guess
like forcing him to take a bad business deal.
Right, and it was about
access to the king.
Right, and whether Revelar would encourage the king towards investigating Shanna's death, the death of a highborn Light Eyes.
Yeah.
And the reason why Revelar thinks that's good leverage is because then it would not just become widely suspected that Lynn killed his wife. Revelar thinks it would be confirmed, right? And that's how and then we see that play out more with the heterochromatic, the bastard, come around, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think why it's effective leverage is not that Lynn would be confirmed as
so
it would be that his daughter would be found out, and also they would be more widely known.
It's putting Shallan at risk.
Yes, and putting Shallan at risk.
So Revelar is like, hey, give me this really good business deal for me, or otherwise I'm going to tell the king to look into the murder of your wife.
Yeah, it's just straightforward blackmail.
Okay. I think I was trying to make something more complicated out of it.
Doesn't need to be. There's plenty enough complicated shit going on.
So, here's some wonderings that I have. Is Lindevar also long-lived?
We really don't know anything about from before his, before Shanna died.
Because here are some quotes that made me think about this. No mink pelts as his grandfather might have worn, but otherwise he was very, very traditional in the way that he dressed. And then, did he have Stormlight to resist the poison that Shallan gave him? Was he able to absorb any that was in the Soulcaster?
Stormlight or breaths? He was a ghost blood, and we know that. And we know that we see that in Warbreaker, right, where you don't get sick, right, and you at a certain level you do become resistant to those sorts of poisons, and at that point you would also be extremely long-lived. I think you're onto something there, dear. And we really don't know what his association was with the Ghost Bloods, but I can imagine. Was he even of this planet? What's that?
Was he even of this planet?
That's a really good question.
I don't know.
What if he wasn't? And maybe that's why.
Maybe that if he wasn't on the planet, maybe that's a better reason to marry him, because there's no genetic.
Well.
There's no genetic concerns with having children with that man.
Well, but I'm just thinking about, because Channa
Void Sprint and Void Light is also another option, because Void Sprint are already on the planet at this point.
Right, but those are, unlike breaths, they are leaky to an extent, right? You draw them in, but they're temporary, right? It's breaths are the only one that are more or less permanent, and if he doesn't have a way to renew it, okay, right?
Right.
I guess the other thing I was thinking about is Channa's not from Roshar, right? They're from Ashen. All the heralds are.
That's true.
I
don't know.
I still think Lynn's probably just a normal Vaden, but because he couldn't have been nobility if he didn't have lineage, right? Unless it was forged, falsified.
Okay, and there's more things to think about as well as what Lynn knows. I'll read this quote. All of these maps faintly reminded her of the ones she discovered in her father's study after his death, though those had been of Yakaved. So, we know that Lynn was wrapped up in the Ghost Blood, so the Ghost Bloods are looking at maps and everything. I think it's all to find those gates, but we don't know.
What?
Was he looking for a way to get his wife back? If he knew she was a herald, do you think he was looking for a way to get her back?
Maybe, because we know the ultimate goal of the Ghost Bloods is to, as far as their dealings in Roshar, was to get Stormlight off world, right?
So that they could survive on a different planet.
Right. Well, and as a economic tool, basically, for the betterment of Scadrial, because having a renewable source of investiture is dope.
Yeah.
Especially one, yeah. Where was it going with that? So, like, the thing that because Shallan makes that comment when she's looking at the maps in Amaram's room, right?
Study, yeah.
And those included the Shattered Plains, but did those also include, because they included maps of Scadrial, right? Because she mispronounces it as Scadarial when she's talking about it with Mraize.
Oh, I missed that this read.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm wondering how many of those were maps of the cognitive realm, of overlaying Yakaved, or maps of...
And this is why
but it wouldn't be Yakaved,
and this
right?
is why we can't have TV or movie adaptations.
Right. No.
Because then it would be too much. Bring it back. Here's another thought. Did Helerian know that his mother was a herald? Did he know that his stepmother was a herald and decided to join the Skybreakers to prevent another desolation? Specifically. Like, the Skybreakers are, yes, trying to prevent another desolation by killing all the other Radiants, but...
I'm not convinced. I mean...
Searchbinders, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's Nail's goal, but it seems to me like what you would need to be a Skybreaker is committed to the law.
Yes, I guess we don't really know their
We don't know the rank and file.
I mean, we do know that as a whole, they do see the singers as the rightful...
Well, that's only as of the end of Oathbringer.
Yeah.
And, like, they have to get there first. And because ultimately, those of the fourth ideal, or third ideal, tend to swear, fealty or whatever to Nail.
Which he thinks is dumb.
Which he thinks is dumb, but it's still what they do. And so that's basically... But we don't know how much of Nail's intentions he shares with the rank and file.
Oh, that's true. Okay, one more.
I'd imagine that if he did share his intentions with the rank and file, a lot more of them would notice that he's off his fucking rocker.
Probably. Okay, one more thing about Shallan's brothers. Who was it that held Joachim hostage? So his name is Mill, but he seems like he's a character that will appear again. He's very much Captain Crow vibes to me.
He doesn't need to be, though.
He provides a gentle reminder that aluminum is in this world and that it's valuable.
Oh wait, he does?
Yes.
Fucking where was that?
Well, he talks about how
her necklace.
Her necklace is made out of aluminum and that it's valuable because it's not naturally occurring on the planet. It has to be soul cast. So you can't mine aluminum.
Well, they can't at that point in their technology. Yeah, whatever.
But I don't think that it exists in the ground in Roshar. Like, the only way you get aluminum is if you soulcast.
Interesting. I thought okay. Because there's a similar sort of discussion in Mistborn Era too, but then they developed the technology to smelt it. Anyway.
So I don't know, like, why was the necklace made out of aluminum? Did Lynn know the cosmic worth of aluminum? Or did he just not want it to... I don't know. It's weird.
I thought it was a status symbol because it, flaunting wealth that he had, right? To me, like, that is a surface level reading of it. Like, I'm just like, wait, what? Was that important? Did I skip over something important? Oh no. Right? But, like, to me, like, the surface level is the necklace being aluminum is because, and it being rare is because they didn't have the technology to smelt aluminum, and so it was rare and therefore valuable, and Lynn was trying to flaunt his family's newfound wealth with the Soulcaster, which suddenly makes sense why they'd have it, because he had a Soulcaster that could do a lot of, a very powerful Soulcaster, right? Not one of the ones that only can transmute into one element. The other thing about why I don't think he needs to be more than what he appears is he just appears to be a loan shark, and that's already pretty freaking scary, right? Like, if you think about it, and I know you don't like reading horror and stuff like that.
Nope.
But like, it's sort of a trope. I don't read much horror either, but I think Lovecraft Country did it really well, where yes, there are these unfathomably big, huge, evil, somewhat all-powerful things out in the universe that are malevolent and want to destroy you.
But it's the
real
humans.
dangers, the real dangers are just the more mundane ones are just as likely to kill you. And to me, that's that trope. We know Brando loves his tropes.
I don't know. We'll replay this recording in future books when Mill resurfaces.
That's, and if he doesn't, then we'll have already forgotten about this.
I don't know. It's already happened with Captain Crow.
This is true. I was wrong. I admit it.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded that literally like right before that fucking came out. And like by the time I had edited and put it out, I was already like, oh, motherfucking piece of...
Called it.
You did. You called it. You were right.
Let's talk about Testament. So Shallan's first spren. First spren. There are so many references to Shallan having a spren before Pattern.
Yeah.
That she had a shard blade as a kid. I can't believe I missed them on my first, 5 reads.
Well, that's like I talked to people who didn't know that in The Way of Kings she had a shard blade. I'm like, but she talks about
I missed
has a
it.
weapon
I missed
10
it.
heartbeats away.
I missed it too.
That-
Because you don't really understand. Because the first time you read it, you don't really understand what sharp blades is. And anyways, so I missed it too on my first read. Probably my second as well. And that's why we
have a podcast.
That's why we have a podcast. We can talk about it. So because she's had a spren before, that's why Shallan's pretty cool, calm, and collected at the appearance of Pattern. Because if you remember, like, at the beginning of Words of Radiance, when Pattern appears, like, Shallan is not freaked out at all.
I read it differently. I don't know how many lines I'm going to say that. How many I'm going to say that line. Because, like, I thought she just had it all out of her system because she absolutely flipped her shit in The Way of Kings.
Oh, about seeing into the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
Well, because I think
symbol-headed creatures.
But I don't think she had seen them in that form. I don't think she had seen into the cognitive realm before. What? But she had definitely had a pattern. She did have like a physical seen a spren in the physical realm before.
I don't know how she could have had experienced soul casting as a child with Testament and not have seen into the cognitive realm.
Well, who said she had experienced soul casting? Because you don't actually soul cast until after you've developed a relationship with the spren a lot of times.
No, that's what she does. That's the first thing she does when she gets Pattern.
Don't know.
There is evidence that she's had a spren before. I don't think that's it. I think that's more easily explained by she doesn't feel as alone and isolated anymore. She's no longer stressed out about constantly lying to Yasna. And she's got Yasna there. She knows she's not alone as a Radiant. It can be both.
Okay. Moving on. So as a quick history reminder, ancient Radiants supposedly killed their spren. Pattern reminds Shallan of this when Shallan insists that, no, I'm not going to kill you, Pattern. And he reminds her, like, you spoke oaths.
Yeah.
So she does remember consciously that she spoke an oath to Testament and broke that, and broke/killed Testament. So she has killed a spren before. She herself has killed a spren before. So some of the conversations between Shallan and Pattern, I'm just like, how did I miss this?
Well, and like Pattern is so sure that he's gonna kill her, and it's not about the ancient Radiance thing.
It's about
her, right? That's why he's so sure.
There are some confusing and misdirections in these flashbacks as well, because when Shallan asks Pattern what he remembers, like the first thing that he remembers, he says plants, like in the Devar house. But Pattern didn't bond Shallan until till
Was it Kolinar?
no, not where was she?
Kharbranth.
Kharbranth. So,
And yeah, that is a misdirection, right? Because we understand from Cal's journey that, Syl was present near and around him for a lot longer than he was aware.
right.
But
So, I mean,
so
Pattern could have been hanging around the Devar house,
but
probably not.
But Spren can't lie, dear.
We're talking to a lie, Spren.
Lies. Also,
maybe it was
listener,
just
Spren can lie. Spren
Yes,
can lie.
Spren can lie.
Spren lie all the time. Don't trust them.
I think maybe Pattern was just
Or just
trying.
don't trust them because they're Spren.
Pattern could have been just trying to get Shallan to remember Testament.
Yes. Or he could have, or he could have been covering his bases in case, she does have a memory. But why would you want to cover his bases?
I don't know.
Forget I said that.
Another question I had. So Shallan questions Pattern about why me, like why bond me, and I really think that what she's actually asking is, why pick me again? Why would the cryptics send a second Spren to bond me?
Sacrifice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
There are a lot of very subtle hints that she's done things before. There's a quote here. Instinctively, she let the flow from her skin fade, or the glow.
Instinctively? What kind of instinct is that? How is that encoded into your evolution?
And we see through Kaladin that these things are not instinctive.
No.
They are a skill that you have to develop, and then once you practice, it does become instinctive, but nothing has happened. Like, it's not like you just immediately know how to use the powers.
No, but he was instinctively guiding the arrows to the bridge. That was instinctive. In the Way of Kings?
Yeah, that doesn't really take any aiming. But point being is that...
That I made a good point.
Yes, she's done this before, and there are little tiny hints everywhere that she's done this before.
It's, I'll say it is circumstantial evidence, but there's an awful lot of circumstantial evidence.
Yes,
So.
overwhelming.
Only when you look in retrospect, though. Only when you already know. It's such good foreshadowing.
Yes, but to really going back between Testament and Pattern. So, Testament was bonded before Shallan killed her mother. Pattern was bonded sometime between her mother's death, but before the events of Way of Kings.
I mean, it's hard to draw a line about when they formed a bond, right? The only one we really see have a firm start is Dalinar, right? For Kaladin, a lot of it is just like Syl is showing up a lot, right? And he's confused that he's got a Spren following him.
A wind Spren, yeah, we can see that in the army camp in Amaram's.
Yeah.
Well, no, even in Amaram's camp when he was a soldier.
There was one that was always following him around, yeah.
Yeah, and he was always
It wasn't as omnipresent as...
But he would constantly try to pick things up and they would be stuck.
Yes.
Those wind Spren pranks, whatever.
Yeah. Which I do think is funny, but anyway, because that's a Windrunner power to stick things together.
Yes.
So, yeah, but like I said, it's like I think it's hard to have a firm point where they started bonding, right? Because it's not like we see her say, "Life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination." Get infused with massive stormlight then, right? And that's what happens with the subsequent odes.
Probably happened to a different personality.
Would it count if it wasn't to Shallan? We never see Vale speak an oath or a truth.
I don't know.
Do you think Shallan could bond multiple Spren more easily than somebody else could by having different personalities do the bonding? I mean, they all seem to do well with Pattern.
I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious to me that Shallan has. So, Testament was the blade that she used to kill her mother. So, I think it's pretty obvious to me that Shallan has held Testament after she killed her mother. So, after she made Testament a Deadeye, she has held Testament's blade. I think that because she was not surprised that Renarin's blade screams. So at the end of Words of Radiance, when Renarin's like sticking his sword in, and I think she grabs it at some point, and we don't see her react or flinch. So she is definitely expecting to hear the scream in her head and doesn't prepared for it.
I read it differently, but I read it more shallowly, right? Because it's a very dramatic scene.
There's a lot going on.
The world is ending again in a different context, and and she's got all that adrenaline, and like I said, and she's confronting. Pattern is pushing her to speak a truth, right? And that is also very distressing for her, right? And so I thought it was just adrenaline.
No, I think there's a very obvious the fact that it's not addressed at all, that she's hearing screams. I think that's supposed to stick out. So there is one point that we are not completely clear on, is which blade was she holding when she kills Tin. We don't, like, some people read it as, well, Pattern was going to go get help.
Yeah. It had to have been Testament then, right?
So maybe it had to have been Testament, or maybe Pattern got help and then she summoned Pattern and used Pattern to kill Tin, but we don't know. There's no description of the blade. Right.
And even though and we see, I don't know, because I would think, then again, none of the deserters have seen a shard blade, but have they seen a shard blade before?
I guess they could have, like, if it wasn't Pattern, they probably would have asked her, like, hey, your blade's different.
Right, because her blade is glowing when it's Pattern, right?
Right.
Living blades look different than the dead ones.
But they also didn't remark on it glowing.
Right. So I think it's Testament. I think it's, very...
You think she killed Tin while hearing screams in her head?
I don't think she heard the screams in her head.
Oh.
Because it's her own, because they still have a bond.
But then she would have been surprised when she touched Renarin's...
Right,
Deadeye blade.
Right, but like I said, I square that circle by thinking, well, she was so freaking hopped up on adrenaline.
Or some of this could have been errors on Brandon's part.
Lies. He doesn't make mistakes.
There was very
no,
few, but he does.
There was no revised ending to Words of Radiance. Did we talk about that already? I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, okay.
We did.
Yeah, if you have a first edition hardback cover of Words of Radiance, it has a different ending than if you have the trade paperback like we do. Or I think the audiobook has even been updated now over the interwebs.
There are, however, tons of clues that Shallan gave Pattern in sword form to Kaladin when fighting the Chasm Fiend. There was no scream when he touched it. The blade glows softly. And Shallan didn't have anything to use to distract the Chasm Fiend.
Although we are led to believe there's red herrings on red herrings, right? Because we are led to believe at the time that Kaladin didn't hear the screams because he had severed his bond with Syl. Right?
I don't remember that.
To Kaladin, he doesn't hear the screams when he touches the shard blade, and that's like the final nail in the coffin.
And that freaks him out.
It freaks him the fuck out, right?
Well, maybe I just immediately dismissed that because I'm like, well, that's Pattern, so he wouldn't. Okay, so, alright, so the next thing was killing Tin.
Wait a minute, fuck. Sorry. Star Wars meme. It's basically, Kaladin touching the blade and not hearing a scream is like, he's Darth Sidious talking to Darth Vader upon waking up at the end of Star Wars Episode 3. It appears in your rage you killed her. That was a terrible Darth Sidious impersonation, but anyway.
Then really shitty thing to do.
Well, he's the dark side. Anyway.
I just want to say it's a really shitty thing to do. So, my arguments for Testament being the blade that Shallan uses to kill Tin. Pattern's getting help. she hates the blade, and I think she makes a comment about hating the blade, I think, in that scene. She doesn't hate Pattern. She hates Testament because Testament was a blade that she used to kill her mother. So she is able to separate between Testament and...
No, because she talks about this with Pattern later, where she's blaming Pattern for killing her mom. And Pattern doesn't really break it to her that
he's not Testament. You think she's confused that Pattern is Testament?
Yeah, they all look alike to her.
I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, because so here's the quote that she says that she hates the weapon. At the moment, she needed something to hold on to, and the weapon served that purpose, even if she hated it. I don't think she ever says that she hates Pattern.
She does. It's in the when she's unlocking the Oath Gate.
But here, you're alive because of that cursed thing again. So the fact that the blade had saved her life multiple times. So I do think it's Testament because it saved her the first time from her mother, and then again from Tin. And I don't think she had taken enough oaths.
Right freaking now.
I don't think she had taken enough oaths in order to draw Pattern as a sword at that point. I don't think she had spoken enough truths.
I'm reading it right now, page 1037. All right, there is something wrong with your blade and with all blades. She hesitated for just a second. All but mine. Pattern! He formed in her hands the blade she'd used to kill, the hidden soul. Shallan rammed it into the slot, and the weapon vibrated in her hands and glowed.
Okay, maybe she does this site. Hated.
Yeah. Well, and it, like I said, she thinks it's her mom's soul. She thinks it's the one she used to kill her mom.
I don't know. It's all messed up.
It is. She's not reliable.
I'm going to circle back to the conversation that we had about transforming and soul casting, because apparently I thought we would talk about it later. Just getting to that section of my notes. Pattern says to Shallan, you changed them. They transform.
Yes.
Through soul casting. It's very veiled. He said they transform. Yeah. And that Shallan specifically changed them. I think there's an actual magical element happening.
I think it's more thematic. I think it's a more of a wishy-washy, souly squishy thing.
Brandon's not a wishy-washy, hand-wavy kind of magic person. He likes to have very rigid rules for magic.
He teaches classes on creative writing, and I haven't watched any of those lectures on hard magic versus soft magic, but I'm pretty sure there's a time and a place for both.
Anyways, another one of her skills is there's a lot to do with fortune and future telling. So this is because of the fact that she has bonded to Spren, she's a much closer tie to the spiritual realm. There's a couple instances in this book, some examples where here's one. She paused, noting what she'd drawn, a rocky shore near the ocean with distinctive cliffs rising behind. The perspective was distant, on the rocky shore, showing several shadowy figures. Several shadowy figures helped one another out of the water. She swore one of them was Yalb. So we get confirmation of this in later books, but Yalb and a couple of the other sailors from the Wind's Pleasure did survive. So she's not just drawing a hopeful picture here, she is actually drawing something that is happening. Yeah. So she is drawing on fortune when she draws. The next thing that she drew immediately after was she turned and drew what came to her, a sketch of a woman kneeling over a body, raising a hammer and chisel as if to slam it down into the person's face. The one beneath her was stiff, wooden, maybe even stone. So this is Shalash, her namesake. This is the herald that's going around trying to remove her image from all of the art and culture.
Sorry, I got to this. I got the part that I was looking for.
Okay.
I wasn't listening to what you said, and I'm sorry.
That's fine. It was just, future telling. It's just whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. Whatever. That's forbidden. So it's in Urithiru when, after she's done talking to Maraise, and then after she's, had a little get together with Adolin, Pattern is basically trying to get her to tell another truth. Shallan blinked out tears. Against her will, the room started to change. White carpet appeared, picture on the wall, furniture, walls painted blue, light blue, 2 corpses. Shallan stepped over one that was just an illusion.
Well, there were two people, right?
Yeah.
There was her Shallan's mother and then also the Skybreaker. So there were two corpses, yeah.
In the bed lie Shallan. She blinked away tears. Her fingers lifted and pressed them against the wall again. This time she could feel the painting's frame. It wasn't real. For that moment, she pretended that it was and let the image. She raised the key and hesitated. Mother's soul is inside. No, not her soul. That which took her soul. Shallan unlocked the safe, then tugged it open, revealing contents: a small shard blade, thrust in the strongbox hastily, tip piercing through the back, hilt towards her. This was you, she whispered. Yes. Father took you from me and tried to hide you in here. Of course, that was useless.
I think that's lies.
Pattern is lying to her. And she's believing it.
Unreliable narrators.
And she doesn't know the difference
Both
between...
Shallan and Pattern, unreliable.
And she doesn't know the difference between Testament and Pattern. Not always. She has moments
Not
of
at all
lucidity.
levels.
Yes. He wasn't thinking clearly. Neither of us were. Why'd you try to kill me, Pattern? Shallan whispered. It started when she found out what I could do. Yeah.
Okay. That was a really long quote there. One more thing.
One more thing.
Well, there's a lot more things, but one more thing with Shallan.
I was going to say, we've been recording for an hour and some change.
There's more.
But wait, there's more!
So, Shallan's lullaby. Now go to sleep in chasms deep, with darkness all around you. Though rock and dread may be your bed, so sleep, my baby dear. Now comes the storm, but you'll be warm. The wind will rock your basket. The crystals fine will grow sublime, so sleep, my baby dear. I don't really remember why I thought this, but is this lullaby about the partnership between the listeners and the chasm fiends in ancient times? Or is it about having the enslaved enemies, aka Parshendis, surrounding them?
No.
Okay.
Asked and answered. Oh, sorry.
You think it's just a lullaby unconnected to anything? Because that's totally Brandon's style.
I was about to say, in the absence of, disregarding the evidence right in front of me, I will say yes.
Okay.
I don't want to think about that. I don't know.
I mean, so go to sleep in chasms deep. So there are chasms. Chasm fiend, but like darkness is all around you. But go to sleep. It's fine because the chasm fiends are a friend. The rock and dread may be your bed. Chasm fiends are scary, but like they're friends, so it's fine. So go to sleep.
You're not gonna like what I'm gonna respond with.
Okay.
It's not about Roshar. It's about the Catacender on Scadrial. The end of Book 3. The end of the Hero of Ages. Where the world is falling apart and they're at the pits of Hathsin where the Adium geodes used to grow, and the world is falling apart and being remade around them as Seizo descends.
And the Atium is the crystals that are glowing? Because Adium doesn't glow.
It most certainly does glow in the cognitive realm. But it's also... It's one of those things where by the time that we're at the time of Stormlight Archive, it's hundreds of years past then. So, like, in the way that we see in Mistborn Era 2, stories get changed, right? They get embellished. They get less accurate, right?
Yeah, so now it's the storm.
Right, and they take on, the flavor of the place that they're being transported to, right? Either that or...
I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that interpretation.
Either that or Brando Sando just really likes his chasms. Pits of Hathsin, Shattered Plains.
Okay.
Especially, Lindavar, strongly associated with the Ghost Bloods. He might have been,
long-lived.
I know I just said that he has to be a Vaden. He might be a Scadrian. But he can't be an off-worlder. He has the, he doesn't, if he were an off-worlder, they'd describe him as, having Shin-like eyes.
If he has enough breaths, he can change his appearance.
No.
Yes?
If he has a divine breath, a returned breath, he can change his appearance.
No, but even with breaths, as long as you change your internal perception of yourself, you can still change.
I don't believe you, but I also, that might be right.
Well, that's why the Swordmaster, whatever.
No, because Zal's returned.
Oh. Okay, but he always has a scraggly beard because that's how he sees himself.
Exactly.
Anyways, okay.
Because he's returned.
Let's talk about Yesna.
I thought we were just going to talk about Shallan this episode.
We've talked about her for an hour. That's enough.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, should we be calling it a day?
I said Shallan and related people.
Jesus Christ.
You want to save it for another day? Because there's a whole
How
nother.
How many more pages of notes do we have? How far are we?
I have to do another 2 pages.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, there's 2 pages for this document, and then the next document. The next document.
I have to edit this, you know?
The next document I have 4. Ooh, hold on.
Yeah, let's put it in with the next one.
I have 5.5 pages. This might be 3 parts.
Oh, jeez. Ah, jeez.
All right, we'll end it there. Okay.
Thanks for podcasting with me, dear. I
Thanks
don't mean to sound ungrateful.
Thanks for podcasting with me. Appreciate the discussion.
Yeah. This one felt good. This one felt good.
Yes.
It's good podcasting to say. Like, oh, yeah. It's comment on our own selves while we're doing it, right? That's good podcasting technique.
Sure.
Thanks, listener, for listening to us.
It was in the McElroy book. That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
That's
the best-selling McElroy book.
Yeah, right. Oh, boy. That they complain about not telling enough. Anyway.
Not that we would have any first-hand knowledge of that.
Yeah. Our email address is cosmerecasual@gmail.com. Our social media handle is cosmerecasual. Our intro and outro music is licensed through Tribe of Noise. The artist is Ketsa, and the song is Odyssey.
And until next time, keep your wits about you.